I think it's quite easy to impress upon you the beauty of the Croissant Peninsula here in Brittany. We spent a lovely afternoon pottering around Camaret du Cerf, had a nice lunch, and it's later on in the afternoon. The sun is dipping slightly and creating a little bit of shadow with the sea stacks. I think they're called the sirens here offshore. There's some people rock climbing over my right shoulder here, and the whole scene here is superb, absolutely superb. It'd be lovely to come back and photograph it for a sunset, but for now I've taken the old infrared camera out again, and it's serving me well. So the approach I'm taking with this photograph is using a 14mm, getting the bay below me here, you know, a lovely U shape into the bay. The azure colour of the water is there, but it won't be there in the infrared. But what infrared gives me is that dark sea, and the rocks are coming out quite bright, a darker sky as well. Well, this morning we've moved away from the coast of the Croissant Peninsula and moved a little inland into the countryside of Brittany and found this beautiful town, Locronan. So it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'm waiting for the sun to rise just to add a warm glow and a little bit of richness to these granite facing houses. Well, I took 1 or 2 images down in the square, just little close-ups of a creperie and some wisteria, but I really am looking for a landscape image of the town of Locronan itself. So I've wandered up this street to give a little view over the town. As you can see, there's a light area on the horizon there, and I am praying, given we have a cathedral behind us, for the light to stream in and enliven the scene behind me. Now, I've worked this composition quite carefully over the last 10 minutes or so with regards to what I have included in the frame and what I've excluded from the frame. So I think I'm shooting at about 70mm, and what I wanted to get was just the bottom of the lamppost here, and then ensuring that the actual lamp itself isn't obstructed behind here by any object, so that it's clear within the frame. And then to have the run of the houses down the street. It's a little black line here, you know, just resurfaced tar that gives a little bit of a line. And then we have over here a mossy wall, which gives a kind of a starting point from the left-hand frame, runs straight down here, a little bit of greenery on the right, and of course the cathedral itself is the centerpiece and positioned centrally within the image. So that's the composition, but it needs light. About 3 days to go on our holiday to Brittany here, and it certainly is a land of contrasts, from the beautiful seascapes in Finistra and the pink granite coast to the towns Locronan the day before yesterday, and we've enjoyed a beautiful weekend here at Van on the Gulf of Morteman. So I'm just walking down by the cathedral here in Van, And yesterday afternoon, in bright sunlight, I took a number of infrared images. One particular image, and I'm walking down to the location now, is of a large tree that sits beautifully in front of the cathedral. I suppose it's tempting in a city as beautiful as this to walk the streets briskly and take as many photographs as you can. But I've just been drawn to this little area around the cathedral. There's that serendipity shop front that didn't really work in colour, but I think it did in infrared yesterday afternoon. Again, just because of the light, I think, yesterday afternoon. There's no light, you see, down here at the entrance, one of the entrances to the walled town. Here's another little abstract that tends to draw my attention more than the grander scenes and the architecture in the area. Just a set of daisies growing freely from the ramparts walls. And I took this photograph yesterday with the iPhone as I was passing by. And it only dawned on me as I was walking by it this morning that I had done so. So I've taken a shot, and the light this morning, as you can see, look at that dappled light that's just dancing off the walls, and it brings that, you know, these wildflowers just growing on the wall here. It just brings it to life, adding that little bit of contrast. And you can see the movement there in the shadows of the leaves of the trees across the road, and just a magic little scene, just made special by the light of the morning. Well, we ventured north from southern Brittany. We're in central Brittany now, and yesterday we passed by the Castle Josselin, and we weren't expecting it to be as impressive as it was, and we gave it very little time, but we hired a boat for about half an hour, ventured down the river running alongside the castle, and using the infrared again with the bright afternoon sun, lovely trees around, a bridge. So we've moved on again from Josselin up to Pan Point and the extensive forests, the oak and beech forests here that we're walking through at the moment. The Val Retour is the trail we've taken this afternoon. And it's a very beautiful forest, and we're staying in a campsite close by. And again, yesterday evening and this morning for sunrise, I took the infrared camera with me, having found a little old ruin behind the lake, and took an image of that as the sun just brightened the trees as it was rising over the lake. So a very special area, another aspect to Brittany. And next up, we'll make our way north to what should be the star of the show, which is Mont San Michel. So we'll pick up again there. We ended up staying an extra night in the forest around Pen Point, that mythical forest of Merlin and Guinevere, and it really was a special place, and we had to pull ourselves away from it. A very peaceful forest, extensive, 50,000 hectares of oak and mixed forest, and beautiful place to spend some time and to photograph. And actually on the yesterday afternoon, after the walk which I last vlogged on, we decided to visit a tree which wasn't part of a forest. It was kind of on its own in a field, very rural, beautiful setting, and it was called Le Chêne de Guillotine. By all accounts, it's about 500 to 1,000 years old, and it looked at had a little support on the right hand side, some Frisian cows in the field beside it, lovely small fields here, lots of wildflowers growing around them, and you could spend an hour or two just sitting in front of that tree paying homage to it. But here I am. Paying homage under the bells of Mont Saint-Michel, and I've walked out here, bright, sunny, awful light for photography. The tide is out, and that, you know, presents other challenges. You could look for little patterns in the sand, or as the tide floods these little channels around here, or else look for a very simplistic, minimalist image as the tide comes in, just the water and the mount. I'm going to make my way back across the salt marsh here and think about where I need to be, or I'd like to be, to get a photograph of the of Mont Saint-Michel. As is always the case in places like this, you come and you see how beautiful, how magnificent this is. You can see it 13 kilometers away, or sorry, 13 minutes drive away, which is probably about 13 kilometers. And you expect an easy photograph, but it's not easy. It's not easy at all, and so we'll have to work at this one. Okay. So this morning I've come out and found these little rivulets, absolutely wonderful. They look man-made. They may well be, but they certainly form a very unusual and structural leading line into Mont San Michel. There's a nice bit of colour in the sky this morning. I'm being surrounded by hundreds of sheep at the moment, and they'll probably come into there they are there, into frame. It's almost like being in the Serengeti if there will to be. There's actually, there must be 1,000 of them coming at me now. I'm sure you hear them. So that's the vlog finished. That's our trip finished to Brittany. Today we're on our way back to Cherbourg to get the boat back to Rosslare and back home to Ireland. I hope you've enjoyed the trip, the vlog, as much as we have in touring Brittany. It's a wonderful place to go and see, and we've had a ball. We've seen an awful lot. We've probably seen too much and taken too much in the holiday in the 10 days. But nonetheless, we've really had a taster menu of Brittany, of all its flavours, food included, wonderful food. The people are very easygoing, and some of the locations were just superb. I think our favourite spot was the forest around Pan Point, and it's a beautiful, peaceful place. I'd love to come back in autumn to shoot that forest. But listen, it's not for today, and I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. So thanks for watching, and until next time.